Hi everyone, I'm back with a few more cards to share. These aren't Christmas cards, they're actually vintage inspired cards. And if the camera's shaking a little, I apologize. I'm still trying to get used to this camera holder thingy. And I guess if I'm not perfectly still, until I can stabilize it more, it might just shake a tiny bit, but I'm hoping it won't. So anyways, on Pinterest I found there were 4 images on one pin, and I printed them out and I made them into cards. So let me show you. I made all 4 cards, and all 4 cards I used the Graphic 45 Botanical Tea papers. And this is the first card. Isn't she pretty? Now this is probably out of the 4. This was the first card I made, and this is the simplest one, I think. But anyways, I used a piece of the background paper from the 6x6 pad that you can also get with the botanical tea. I just took a piece of cream colored cardstock, the 12x12, cut it in half so I could make 2 6x6 cards out of it. I adhered the background paper, and then the image I matted it onto. This is also from Graphic 45 from the 6x6. This is probably the other side of the rest of this. So anyways, I matted that, and then I had this little trim, and I can't remember which shop I got it from. I think it was a Zibbet shop, but anyways, it was by the yard, and I cut a piece to go here, and what was left I put on here. And I just thought that really looked pretty. And then down in the corner, I put this piece from a vintage piece that I cut. It was these flowers going all the way across, and I had a piece about this big that I had found at a thrift store. And so I cut it out, I fussy cut it, and I put a flower applique from a vintage curtain. I cut the little flowers out and I put that on top, and then I put a wild orchid craft. I think it's in one of their new apple blossoms in pink. I put that in the middle. There was one little piece left out of this trim here, and I don't know why, but I added it underneath there. And then this little tiny silver Eiffel Tower charm I put there. I think this was from Recollections, one of those packages where you get 6 different like charms or buttons. And then this trim here, I had a piece and I put it on the corner there. And then these little flowers here, I also cut out from I don't know if it's vintage or not, but I cut it out from a strip that was off of a curtain. And I meant to put something in the middle of these, and so I will do that before I send it out to somebody, just to finish it off. And then I left it blank because I don't know who I'm going to send it to yet. So a note will go inside. So that's the first one. And then the second one I did in blue. And I like how this one came out too. This is from the 8x8, I think. I think the background ones, I'm not sure. I mean, I might have used 6x6 on all of them. Now that I think about it, I think maybe this was one of the background papers. So yeah, I think I used the 6x6 pad for these. And I used the other half of that cream cardstock. I matted the photo in the cream also. I just put this little piece of pink to tie in some pink, and this was from the 8x8. You know, it had different, like it had this botanical tea piece. It had a bunch of them. It just had rows of different things. So I cut this one out, and then I cut the botanical tea out, and I just distressed it a little bit. And then up here in the corner, all wild orchid craft flowers. They're my favorite. And then what I did was, this is actually a Prima medallion, and I put that on there, and I had one little piece of this Venice lace trim, and I hung it there, and I added this rhinestone and pearl piece from One Little Dreamer, and these are Wild Orchid Crafts. This I made before I attached it or glued it onto the card. I made this here, this flower cluster. I made it first, you know, wrapped all the stems around, cut it, and then I glued it underneath this large rose here. So that's the second one. And then I'll save my favorite for last. Then this is the third one. This I used a tannish color cardstock that I cut in half, and I matted the image with the same cardstock. Isn't she pretty too? And I love the colors, so vintage. I did use another one of those botanical tea pieces, but on this one I matted it. And this is another of the 6x6 backgrounds. This is actually a Fernley Design, was it Fernley? Yeah, Fernley Designs, one of their corner pieces. Isn't that pretty? So I added that. And then this is just a recollections piece here. This little trim down here is from the Thrifty Paper Garden. Love that. And then these little roses are actually Wild Orchid Craft, but I sprayed them with one of the Lindy sprays, and I can't remember the name of it. So sorry. And then this is one of their larger roses here. And then these two little puffy fabric pieces here. And these, geez, I can't remember where I got those. But anyway, and this is a medallion off of a vintage carton. And then this is actually a recollections piece, a time piece that the colors were like absolutely perfect for it. So I added that, and I've got to put a piece of cream cardstock in there to write a note in it. So that's the third one. And then the last one, which is my favorite. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But this is my favorite. And there's another beautiful vintage image. I used a chocolate color cardstock to frame it. I used the cream cardstock as the card, and then I took the background paper and I matted it on the chocolate, just because without it you just wouldn't really be able to see the difference. It was too close to the cream color. So then I added this paper doily. I put the matted image on there. This piece here, this Venice lace, I added these flat back pearls. And these I think I got at Joann's, and they're from that, what's his name? David, I don't know, he does bridal things, he's on TV or whatever. But these are actually brads, and I just cut off the brad part and glued them on. These are Wild Orchid Craft roses. I added the Tea Party piece here. This here is actually a piece of netting from Stamp It Up. And I just did a quick, one of those, what do you call those stitches? But you know what I mean. And I just gathered it really quick. I put this piece from one of my curtains, and then another one of One Little Dreamers from her Trim by the Yard in the middle. And then this here is a vintage piece from, I think it's from Virginia 1468. I think she had sent me, one of the things she sent me was this little panel, and I think I got like 3 of these out of it. So thank you, Virginia. I just fussy cut it, and I just love how it looks. I think it looks perfect on the card. The color was perfect. She might have tea dyed it or coffee stained it herself. I don't know, but I didn't do anything to it, and it was just perfect. And then up here, I used Wild Orchid Crafts, this rose here, these 2 little roses, and then in between those are the small orchids, white orchids, and behind it was just a piece of leaf trim that I had. So, these are my cards. I like how they came out, and what I'll do is I'll save them and use them for when I send a gift or a rack. I have them all ready to go. All I'll have to do is write a little note in them. So if you'd like, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of my cards, and I will see you all again soon. Bye for now.